Meadow and the Wise Ant. On fluffy pink clouds up in the sky is a magical place where children can fly. They float on clouds and slide down rainbows. They laugh and play, making magic wherever they go. Up in these fluffy pink clouds lived a little girl who loved to sing, dance, cuddle, and swirl. Meadow was her name and fashion was her game. She mixed her hair clips so none looked the same. She liked to be different because different is good. Plus, when you lived up here, no one was misunderstood. Drawing is another thing that Meadow loved to do. In her magical sketchbook, flowers, stars, and butterflies she drew. But her biggest passion of all was to design. But not just anything you may have in mind. She wanted to make dresses out of magical flowers and leaves, inspired by trees, and tank tops tied with purple and pink ivy. There were so many things Meadow wanted to create, but there was one thing she believed stood in the way of her fate. If she wanted to be a designer, she needed to sew, and that was the one thing that she didn't know. She gathered needles, thread and ribbon too, then realized that sewing might not be that easy to do. The needles were too small, the thread would split. Sewing was just so hard, and Meadow decided to quit. Frustrated and sad, she put away her needles and thread. Lying in bed, her designs danced around in her head. Oh, how I wish with all of my heart that I knew how to sew, so I could share my art. Meadow closed her eyes, and as she lay sleeping, her wish flew through clouds and stars. For help it was seeking. Her wish travelled far, looking for somewhere to land. Then it spotted the antenna of a very wise ant. Bing! The wise ant's antenna started to ring. He listened closely as Meadow's wish began to sing. "What is that you say?" asked the very wise ant. "There's a little girl in the clouds who needs my help. She doesn't know how to sew. Well, neither do I. But I'm old and wise, so I can give her a little advice." The wise ant pulled his legs close and started to hum. He travelled through the clouds and stars up to Meadow's home. That morning, when Meadow took her walk in the clouds, she clearly heard a faint humming sound. Heard Meadow, so she began to look around. "I think you'd see me better, young lady, if you sat down." Meadow kneeled on the clouds, and there was the ant, wearing shoes, a cape, and a purple top hat. "Who are you?" Meadow asked with curiosity. "I'm just an ant, and last night your wish came to visit me." "My wish?" asked Meadow, feeling very confused. "Yes, to make clothing with magical flowers and leaves in different hues." "That was my dream," said Meadow, "but I've decided to quit. I don't know how to sew. It's too hard. I simply can't do it." Then tears fell from her eyes. The wise ant could tell that she was sad inside. Learning new things may be tough, but you have to take time to learn instead of giving up. Believe in yourself and you will succeed. And most importantly, never give up on your dream. Then the wise ant held out his palm, and from it a magical flower grew. You see, I'm not only old and wise, but I'm almost as magical as you. Meadow let out a giggle and said with a smile, "Thank you for coming and helping me find my style." "Anytime," said the wise ant, and it wasn't long before with a wink and nod, he was gone. With her newfound confidence, Meadow hurried back to work. This time, she used a sewing machine and studied a sewing book. Sewing straight was hard, but if she tried and tried, no matter how long it took, after practicing all week, Meadow knew it was time to open her magical sketchbook and create one of her designs. She measured her fabric, then she cut and she sewed, just like the pages in her sewing book showed. She picked magical flower petals and placed each one on by hand. Meadow was proud. It was starting to look grand. And in another week's time, she brought her first dress to life. You should have seen the sparkle in Meadow's big brown eyes. She knew that she could do anything she put her mind to. And if you're reading this right now, always believe that you can too. And before you go, many times in our lives we count ourselves out before we count ourselves in. We believe that we'll fail before we even believe that we'll win. We already stop before we even begin. But if we write our own stories, decide how it will end, then I believe we'll find the keys to the limitless doorway within. Thank you. Keep reading. Ignite your imagination.